Hello everyone, my name is Nada Zahira Yahya, and here's a video of me for my Phonetics and Phonology assignment, which is readings. And in this video, I'm going to read you a news from BBC with title "Ride Argentina's First Solar Train Through 10,000 Years of Indigenous History" by Monica Mead. It is written 18 hours ago. The zero-emissions luxury train is taking travelers through Rainbow Mountains, indigenous villages, and a 10,000-year-old cultural corridor. The train, a sleek glass-sided two-carriage capsule, looked almost too futuristic for the landscape it was about to enter. As it eased out of the historic village of Volcan, panpipe music drifted through the carriage and the Quebrada de Humahuaca opened around us. A narrow, high-altitude valley of thorn scrub, red earth, and polluted peaks that has carried people, goods, and beliefs for more than 10,000 years. This is one of South America's oldest cultural corridors, a route first crossed by hunter-gatherers around 9000 BC and later traveled by indigenous traders, Inca messengers, Spanish colonies, muleteers, and railway workers. Today, another chapter has been added to that long history, Latin America's first solar-powered train. Launched in June 2024, the Quebrada Solar Train revives part of a 19th century railway through indigenous villages in Argentina's Jujuy province. The 42 kilometers or 21.6 mile route links historic villages where pre-Inca and living Andean traditions still overlap. Along the way, it follows part of the Capacnan, the vast Inca road network that once connected communities across the Andes, from present-day Colombia to Argentina and Chile. Ride the Quebrada Solar Train. The train runs 7 days a week, connecting 5 historic villages: Volcan, Tumbaya, Purmacara, Maimara, and Tilcara over 42 kilometers or 26 miles, with an additional stop at Hornillos, a former staging post turned museum. Choose from the shorter 180-degree experience from Purmacar or Purmacar, 2.5 hours, or the 360-degree experience from Volcan, which takes around 10 hours, or 90 minutes on the train with extended stops at each station to explore and food. But the train is not just a sustainable way to sightsee through Andean mountains and adopt villages. Officials hope the zero-emissions railway will bring tourism income to communities and archaeological sites along the valley, helping younger residents remain on ancestral land while honoring the values that have long shaped life here: respect for Pachamama, or Mother Earth, reciprocity, and balance. And for visitors, it offers the chance to travel through a landscape where ancient traditions remain part of everyday life. Slow travel through a living valley. Traveling at modest 33 kilometers per hour, the train gives me time to study the valley as we leave Volcan for our first stop at Tumbaya. Thanks to around 300 sunny days a year, the carriages glide almost silently through the landscape. Around me are mostly Argentine tourists and retired couples rather than international visitors, all settling in for a leisurely day of culture and history. Long stretches of greenery slip past the window, with deep crevices cutting into the slopes and cactus-studded hills rising on each side. The ride is so gentle that when we arrive, I barely feel the train come to halt. From the station, our onboard guide, Nestor Mariotti, leads us to Tumbaya's cobblestone street, past two laborers patching the wall of a small home. "I bet you don't see this type of brick at home," Ariel says to me, pointing out to the sun-dried clay bricks used in many of the village buildings. It's traditional here, a technique taught from father to son for over 1,000 years. We pause against the bold yellow Nuestra Señora de los Dolores church. Today, the village is almost silent, but Mariotti tells me that only a few weeks earlier, before Holy Week, hundreds of thousands of devotees had passed through for the Punta Coral pilgrimage into the mountains. This is one of the most important places for us in Quebrada de Humahuaca, he says. It might be extremely quiet here today, but a few weeks ago it was overflowing with people. Onward through the valley, the land becomes drier and more barren streaks of reds begin to appear in the pointed peaks. At Purmatara station, we transfer into minivans and snake 3.5 kilometers or 2 miles along a side road towards the village. Older than the cloudless sky, everything has a rosy hue. Behind the village's lower door buildings, the famous Cerro de los Siete Colores, the hill of 7 colors, rises in bands of pink, red, purple, and ochre. In the main square, artisan stalls spill over with ponchos, blankets, and belts made from hand-spun llama wool. Alongside clay pots, cardon, cactus lamps, and basket of coca leaves. A few streets away is the entrance to the Paseo de los Colorados, a 30-minute trail looping through the moss-like mountains. If you see cans or bottles in a pile, please leave them there, says Maria Aguero, the ticket officer at the gate. These, along with coca leaves and cigarettes, are spiritual offerings. The items are left on small store cairns, known as apachetas, as a way of expressing gratitude to Pachamama and asking for safe onward travel. In Jujuy, similar rituals continue throughout the year, and some smaller offerings remain part of the daily life. Ancient roots, everyday traditions. Back on the train, we continue to Hornilos, where branches of red, yellow, and purple flowers line the path from the station. Passing an old two-wheeled farming cart, we soon reach the Postal Museum of Los Hornilos, where our museum guide, Alberto, is waiting for us. During the 18th century, passing merchants and couriers came here to catch up on sleep while traveling between Buenos Aires and Upper Peru, which is known as Bolivia, he says. But as you'll see inside, the human history of the Quebrada de Humahuaca dates back more than 10,000 years before this place was built. Inside the large single-story estate, the valley's long human history comes to life. I learned that it was first used by nomadic hunter-gatherer communities around 19,000 BC, then became a trade route for the indigenous Omaguaca people, who moved salt and clay pottery through the valley. Later, it was claimed and paid by the Inca Empire before becoming the Real Silk Road during the Spanish conquest in the 16th century. As we glide towards Maimara back on the train, the landscape softens into agriculture with vineyards, orchards, and 1,500-year-old wild terraces where quinoa, I don't know how to spell it right, has been grown for more than a millennium. Outside Maimara station, a market is filled with the sweet earthy smell of black mint, Andean saffron, and medicinal muña, a native herb. I don't know how to pronounce it right, so I'm just guessing. Crates of red, purple, white, and brown Andean potatoes sit beside ripe peaches, figs, and grapes. Feeling packaged, I head to the plaza and order a quinoa and goat cheese empanada from La Casa de las Empanadas. Humita and chala and tamales, are also on the menu. Both steamed corn-based dishes that date back thousands of years. When I asked Miriam, the owner, about her business, she tells me that she's very happy that the train brings more customers every day, so I can keep cooking and sharing the food of our ancestors with people who aren't from here. At the train's final stop in Tilkara, it is a 30-minute walk up to the Pukara de Tilkara archaeological site. This pre-Inca stone fortress was built by the Omaguaca more than 1,100 years ago, and it is thought that up to 2,000 people once lived here. From its hilltop walls, it's easy to understand why communities settled here. The valley stretches in every direction, both defensible and fertile. Below, artisan markets continue the traditions of weaving and pottery that they have been practiced here for centuries. Before we return to Volcan, Mariotti shares a final thought. Years ago, there was no work here except during vacations. Today, we have steady employment. He says, by coming here, you are giving young people and future generations of the opportunity to stay in our towns, to study, to professionalize, and most importantly, to work here in our land without the need to immigrate to the big city. So, while you spend a few days of the rest your holiday and relaxation here in my province, it completely changes our lives. Okay, that's all from me from this news. I'm sorry for a lot of messes. Thank you. See you in the next video.